Hey, buddy. Hey, man. So I keep going over this point in life lately. It just keeps coming up, the need for understanding around it. There's a lot of pieces of your character. And this comes back to like a life defense and a life satisfaction. And so the point is that there's a lot of different components of your character. There's the sweetheart, there's the compassionate guy, there's the angry guy, there's the joyful guy, right? So on and so forth, right? We can go through all the different aspects up through the generosity guy and the monster guy, and I think what society tells us a lot is to stuff the monster away, and to hide that, or shun that piece. It's not part of you. It's not real. It's not that, like, that's terrible. They say all these things, right? It's just like it's like guns are bad, and like everybody says that shit. Even I do at times, until somebody walks into a grocery store, shooting up the fucking place, and I got you with me. It's like I want nothing more than to have my weapon on me, so I could defend that front, and make sure you're safe, and I can make sure I'm safe, and I can lay somebody out if I need to. At least go down in self-defense instead of a helpless victim. So the reality is like, it's not about a totality of good versus bad. It's about a balancing act of accurately deployed versus or you could even say ethically deployed versus unethically deployed. For me to just go around whooping people's asses, that's just being a bully, and that's unethical, man. That deployment of that monster is inaccurate. It's not fair, and the same thing applies going back to, like, when I'm helping defend my loved ones from a tyrannistic bully, that monster being deployed in self-defense and protecting them and myself from this bully is like 100%. It's accurate. Whoop his ass. And then to the extent that it needs to be, is it imminent that you have to fire a weapon to save life, or can you use your hands, and just fight hard and knock this kid out, whatever, guy, whatever. So the point being is, like, again, like, there's different parts, and the same thing goes with the lover, being, like, oh, you got to be a jerk all the time, and chicks dig jerks. It's like, again, it's inaccurate, it's unethical deployment of that jerk piece, the non-emotional, the stoic, side of yourself. It's like, it's an unethical, inaccurate deployment of that personality side. Like, you can be intentional with that. So, be guarded for sure until you identify somebody's virtues and values to be what you believe they need to be, in a safe relationship, that this is worth investing in. Once you find that, find the compassionate, find the romantic, find the intimate guy, and deploy those things like crazy, in appropriate zones. It's like, it's just really important to be aware and intentional around these aspects of ourselves. So many times people tell us, oh, they're bad. No, they're not bad. That's not true. It's not true. It's only bad when it's deployed inappropriately or unethically. And that's what that person's experience was. Somebody bullied me in high school, therefore violence in general it's unnecessary. It's not true. You're gonna need violence at some point. You gotta be able to turn it on and turn it off at your control and your whim. So, you got the four components of competency: self-awareness, learning agility. Those are the two internal. You know, really being aware of yourself and how you're responding to things, how they're affecting you, and being intentional about understanding that. Mindfulness helps. You know, mindfulness is simply thinking about what I'm thinking about, like normal, but then also with the additive of, why am I thinking about that? And that's an answer that will reveal self to self, you know, like some pieces of you. So, and then you got learning agility, man, is being able to deal with the facts in front of you and adjust your perspectives based on the facts, not your feelings, right? Like, I feel so strong about this, you know, like, okay, that's cool, you know, and you're allowed to feel that strongly as long as the facts back it up, you know. Make sure the facts are right, though. Analyze the data. Don't let people manipulate you with data. But again, once you check the facts and you know they're right, learning agility says, man, you need to pivot, man. And pivot your perspective based on the facts, the truth. And then the last two pieces on the are external, and that's communication and influence. So, you know, how you communicate can greatly, you know, affect your whole life and what you plan and what you don't plan to do, and like how successful some of your objectives are when they unfold. It's really important. And then that leads right into your influence, man. Is like, are you aware of yourself enough to be attractive to others? Are you communicative enough to where you're attractive to others, which then leads into some form, you know, and then are your discipline and all that stuff. All that leads into an influence that people are influenced by you. Oh, well, you know, Gene feels this way, you know, like I love everything that Gene stands for because of the way he is and what he stands for. It's like, it resonates with me. So like when he's deciding on some stuff, I tend to lean towards what he's looking at, because he's pretty impeccable in a couple of core areas, and that's awesome. So then it just leads right in. So there's the four core competencies that we got to work on, and then there's 3 zones that we have to intentionally deploy all four, you know, really like working all 4 of those core competencies and growing in, which is the first one, number 1 at the very top, is going to be family. Am I deploying those 4 zones of competency and learning and growing in them in family? That's number 1. Number 2, am I deploying all 4 and growing in those 4 in work? And then number 3 is am I deploying all 4 and growing in all 4 in my social networks? So like, there are 3 completely different things, man. Family is different than work, and work is different than social. And it's important for me to have all 3, because that's a healthy lifestyle. If I'm overly dependent, if I feel overly dependent, dude, on one aspect, I could risk losing control in the other 2. And if those go off the rails, my whole life can really be upset. So really getting into that. And then you got the baseball diamond, man, in forms of growth. And that's physical growth, where you understand, you got a baseball diamond, first, second, third base, and then home base. I call them sobrieties, you know, but physical growth, you know, you understand what you're capable of. And then you get into your second base, which is mental growth. You understand what you're capable of contemplating and strategizing. Okay, that's a whole different, you know, mental growth and sobriety. And then you get into emotional, what you're capable of dealing with emotionally, how broad your emotional life is actually, and what it's capable of accomplishing. And then you get into home base, which is home plate, which is is spiritual growth, is what you're capable of tapping into spiritually, and this purpose-driven lifestyle, and what that can produce. So again, son, it's about really like just bottling it all up. It comes back to like, am I capable of really, if I would have had somebody like teaching me the way I'm like willing to invest, I'm just investing this back to you, man, because I really wish I had this information sooner, you know, just and then exposing myself to this information sooner, you know, to teach me that there's all different aspects of me. The violence, right? That's a piece of me. That monster is a piece of me and should be respected, but it should also be controlled by me, not forgotten about, shoved away and put a blindfold around, and then it sneaks its little head out every once in a while and I can't control it. That's not okay. So, and then my romantic side, my intimate side, my friendship side, you know, my compassionate side, my angry side, right? So it's important for me to be aware of all those, and then to actually create a relationship with myself in all those aspects, as many as possible. And then, you know, really looking at the 4 core competencies and deploying them in the 3 zones of life. And while I'm doing that, son, I'm working hard at building my growth and understanding physically, mentally, and emotionally and spiritually what I'm actually capable of doing. Man, that is a lifelong load of work. There's no room for paying attention to what other people got going on, for being jealous, envious, none of that stuff. There's no room for it. There's no space. There's too much work to do inside, man. There's too much work going on over here. I'm busy. I keep my head down to my grindstone and I work, man. I'm like, I hang around people. I'm trying to get to where they're at, and I talk about and around you know, topics that where I'm headed to. You know, nothing else. You know, with you know, everybody fails at that. I'm just saying this is ideal. You know, I don't know. I love you, dude. I wanted to share another message with you, and I'm thinking about you. I just wanted you to know that. I don't know, I'm just trying to continually, you know, put this in words, let you know that I'm, you know, like, I just want you to know everything. Anyways, whenever, wherever you are, I hope you're having an amazing moment. And if you're not, it's fine, dude. You're allowed to have a bad moment. It's fine. I tell you what, I've cried myself to sleep many nights, dude. Scared of the unknown or how I'm going to make it work. And you don't have to be slaying it right now. You will slay it. If you do the work, you will slay it. But you don't have to every single day. It's not possible, you know. And if you're not a good, love you, dude. Love you. You're more than you think. You're more than you know. But I also want to just honor, like, sometimes you got to go through, like, when it's raining, man, that's the only way to get crops to grow. You know, when there's a fire, there's one way to put it out, man, is water. You know, typically tears. You know, so don't be ashamed of that shit either. All right, I love you, son.